The House of Representatives still has no speaker, but the important investigations that began under Speaker McCarthy, they are continuing. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer has released new evidence today in his investigation into the Biden family syndicate, their business dealings, and this is a bombshell. Take a look at this. That is a check from Jim Biden, that is Joe Biden's brother, to Joe for a whopping $200,000. And this very check was written on the exact same day that Jim allegedly got a, quote, loan from a failing hospital company for the exact same amount of money. We did reach out to the parties involved for comment, and shockingly, we didn't hear back. But clearly, this news is creating some panic inside the Biden White House tonight. And one of Biden's press underlings rushed to make sure that everybody knows the check clearly says it was a loan repayment from Jim to Joe. But if that's true, it unlocks a whole new host of questions. Why did Joe loan Jim $200,000 in the first place? Question two, how did Joe, admittedly one of the poorest members of the Senate, a career public servant, how did he have and how was he able to afford to give that amount of money to his brother? And why did Jim need to be paid by someone else before he could repay Joe? Here with the details, House Oversight and Accountability Committee Chair James Comer is with us. And by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe I'm jumping ahead. You have other new evidence that we expect next week that'll show something similar?
Yeah, we found a lot of suspicious checks that the brother was involved in and Joe was a beneficiary of. And we're going to talk about that as we move on. But what we're doing is we're tracing the money, Sean. It's not just that they got a $200,000 payment, that Joe Biden received a $200,000 payment. It's where the money came from. And the money came from Jim Biden, where he influence peddled to a company in the United States that he went and said that he could help through his brother's contacts get capital from the Middle East. So he convinced this company to give him $600,000, and they did it in increments. The last increment was $200,000. That $200,000 then went to Jim Biden's personal account, and it was a loan, according to the way Jim Biden deposited. And then he wrote on the same day a check to Joe Biden for a loan repayment. Now, they're playing the loan card a lot. Remember the $250,000 wire that we identified 3 weeks ago that came from China to Hunter Biden that was addressed to Joe Biden's house? The White House said that was a loan, too. And, Sean, what you're going to be hearing out of the White House over the next few weeks is loan, loan, loan. And look, even if Joe Biden did give his brother a loan, which I don't believe he did, the fact that his brother defrauded a company that is now bankrupt and all the creditors lost all their money that they invested in this or loaned to this healthcare company, but Joe Biden got $200,000 from it before they went bankrupt, all because Jim Biden was selling the brand, was selling the Biden name, and convinced people to pay him money in exchange for favors from Joe Biden.
Wouldn't you have to have a record of when you gave the loan, and wouldn't that bank record exist as well? Have you been able to find that?
We just announced the check today, and we've asked the White House to produce documentation of the loan, the terms of the loan. And we also want to know from Joe Biden, was he aware when he took that $200,000 that it came from a company his brother defrauded in the name of Joe Biden, that Joe Biden could come in and save the day through his contacts in the Middle East, Sean? That's where this influence peddling scheme came. We've talked about China, Romania, Russia, Ukraine. Now we're talking about the Middle East. We've talked about Hunter Biden. Now we're on to Jim Biden. We've been following the money. We're going to continue to follow the money. But more and more suspicious activity is popping up everywhere to the tunes of millions and millions of dollars from the Biden family. And now we have evidence that Joe Biden benefited directly from this. If his brother hadn't defrauded that company through the influence peddling scheme, he never could have paid Joe Biden back that $200,000, assuming Joe Biden really loaned him $200,000, which I'm not convinced that he did.
Would it be a fair assessment in the next couple of weeks there'll be a cascading amount of devastating evidence like this that proves that by following the money that everything Joe Biden said about his involvement in all of this is false? Is that a fair statement?
Look, I think we continue to produce evidence. I think we've already produced a lot of evidence, but the media says, well, you got to have a payment to Joe. Well, here we go. Here's the first payment to Joe. Stay tuned, Sean. Stay tuned.
All right. Congressman James Comer, we thank you this Friday night. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.